afternoon, happy Facebookers, or actually it's good morning where you are, Carl, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in Canada. It's 9:30, so it's 9:45 here, and it's probably 4:45 where you are. So you're
It
7 hours
is.
ahead there.
We are
That's
indeed.
good.
We are indeed. So
Yeah,
it's coffee for you and nearly dinner time for me, which is
there
good.
we go.
So, guys, I just wanted to introduce Carl. Now, Carl, actually, are you Carl Heath or Carl Wiseman?
Well, Carl Wiseman came about, it's part of my story of coming to Canada and experiencing a lot of adversity. And with social media, you're in so much, you haven't got time to get into certain conversations, but at the same time, you're developing a new community where
Yeah.
you live. So Carl Wiseman was just something I set up on Facebook. And I like it. I like the concept of Carl Wiseman, but my real name is Carl Heath. But
It's Carl Heath.
yeah,
So,
because
guys, I'm
yeah,
just going to introduce to you, actually, because we're going to do sort of a bit of introductions for ourselves. We've got some really
yeah,
interesting stuff we want to just discuss. Me and Carla are pretty much on the same page with a lot of things in life, and we're going to just discuss some of it with you lot as well, so you can get a different perspective maybe, and maybe look at another point of view, because I know there's some very interesting points of view going on at the moment. So Carl Heath, currently in Canada. Obviously, you guys know me. I'm Wendy Smith, Coach Wend, as commonly known. But Carl, can you just give the viewers a brief background of yourself, how you ended up in Canada, and a little bit of what you actually do for a living?
yeah. Well, my background is growing up in an orphanage, which I share with young people, working with Challenge Youth for 9 years. At the age of 15, leaving the education system, the orphanage, and then kind of last year switching off at school. Then went to the streets, got involved in all the reactivity and the influences. And then I was a sportsman playing soccer, and I got banned because I couldn't control my aggression. And in getting banned from playing soccer, I went through depression, and that depression was my past catching up with me. A lot of unprocessed reactions that I'd experienced and got a bit like a lot of data on my hard drive that needed to clear. So, in going through a mental and emotional breakdown, for me, it was the conflict between the head and the heart. And when I made the breakthrough, it was through being a long distance runner. I got my running back, activated the senses, felt that connection of being at school, running, being on my own and going through the process. And that's kind of taken me on a journey. So when I had my breakthrough around the age of 18, I moved on to really start playing semi-professional soccer. It's all about who's speaking into your life, the people around you.
Yeah.
And what I did was I started to detach. Having my breakthrough, I started to detach and really connect through sport with professionals, played semi-professional soccer. Then I coached in America with soccer and Australia later in life. But it was then boxing that was my greatest shift. Around 1994, going into a boxing gym. And from that process of going in a boxing gym, I started working with youth. That's when I found my calling around 1997.
Right.
I went into a school to see a friend of mine who basically gave me words of wisdom when I was going through my breakdown. He ended up being an headmaster, and he opened the door for me. And that's when I started really to develop my work, and stress-wise, energy-wise. So I've been really on a journey of working with challenged youth, young offenders, in really sharing my experience and my wisdom in how to really transform this energy called stress. So stress management and skills development is what I do.
So
And
how did you end up? How did you end up in Canada? Hi, Mark.
in Canada, it was a relationship that got me to Canada, because love, you surf those big waves, and I came across the ocean, started a relationship 2012,
Right.
April, came to Canada for the first time, and April 2013, my son was born.
Right.
Then everything changed in the UK, my work, my contracts, and really I came over to Canada July 2013, and since then I've been in the process of working here as going through the process with immigration and been through a lot of adversity. But Canada is really the first place that I've ever felt home, because I've moved.
Are you a full citizen now?
No, I'm still in the process. I'm an alien. And whatever you call it, I'm an alien.
Oh, in more ways than one, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so coming to Canada, it just really the first time I felt at home. My son's taking me through the deeper healing of the boy that went into the orphanage, confused at 6. And
Yeah.
around the age of 6, that's when I started writing my book about flow and that we're all connected to this flow. And like Wayne Dyer calls it a source, it's just how corroded is your link, and it's the connection to that spirit, to that
Well, we're
source
going
of
to get
energy.
into the
Yeah,
flow of
and
everything.
that's
This is
kind of
why
what
we
my
called
work's
it.
about, is a
Yeah.
5-step system that I've developed and promote over here in Edmonton, Canada, working with you. So my core of my work is boxing as a release,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and as a way to move energy and transform
Yeah, that's
energy.
very similar to my business partner, John. He utilizes, because well, this is where we have a lot of similarities because we work with youth as well, like
Yeah,
disaffected youth.
brilliant.
And John uses a lot of pad work, glove and pad work, to
Yeah,
show positive and negative energy. So actually, we'll get
absolutely.
into this in a while, but
Yeah,
when someone's using anger and aggression, they have no real impact. But when we switch it to the happy energies and you start boxing, the impact
yeah.
that you have is much greater. So,
Well,
and
it's
if you then take that into life,
absolutely. We've all got a fire within, and this is what happens. We go through life, we go through a system, and then what happens is the pilot light starts to dimmer because we're not living from our hearts, we're more in our heads. So
yeah,
that fire is within us, and it's being able to harness that, and it's that intensity from aggression that becomes intentional from aggression to passion. And that's what I share. Everything's energy, it's moving, it's how
it
you
all
move.
is.
Yeah,
It all is. So where should we start? I mean, you guys who are watching this, you know a lot about me. Spinal injury at 17, a lot of belief systems. She's never going to walk, does walk. Very stubborn.
yeah,
Learned about the mind and energy over the years through necessity more than anything, to be honest, to start with. And now it's just for a wanting to know more. I now
yeah,
know how connected everybody is to the universal grid because there's no separation between anything and anyone. So what you're putting out, you really are getting back. So for me, I think realistically, about the last 10 years, Cole, been really deep
yeah,
deep diving into this realm. So,
yeah,
so my
absolutely.
mate Mark's just put on there stubborn, really, like as if I'm not stubborn. No, Mark, not stubborn at all, mate. No. So
Well,
yeah, mine's been a deep dive. Last 10 years, really, Carl. I think I've
yeah,
really sort of woken up, with the quantum physics, understanding more about that,
yeah,
becoming more aware as a person of my own habits, my own language, my own system, and then
yeah,
obviously working with traumatized people, releasing them from negative spaces and seeing them transform and move forward. So, it is all about energy, isn't it?
yeah. You've created an amazing skill set, and the thing is, Wendy, when you've got experience, experience does teach wisdom, and what it does is it moves you deeper. So when you talk about deep diving, is that's the greatest challenge for people because I write about this is surface dwelling, deep dippers from the head with the surface dwelling. We we,
Yeah.
we we dip to the heart and then we move back. But diving is really into the realms of who you really are and the healing that you can go through. Because I talk about deep diving is the treasure that you can
Yeah.
bring to the surface. And the kind of skills that you have and the amazing work that you're doing. Because I saw you being interviewed with Charlie, and
Yeah.
I am so beautifully consumed in writing my book and putting videos together that this whole world of technology is very consuming. But I think what's happening at the moment is so many amazing people are connecting due to the circumstances of what's going on planet Earth. And it's
Yeah.
amazing because there's so
It
many
is.
like-minded people coming together. The dots are connecting, and
Yeah.
this
I
is
think
what
the
this is what
more,
we get to do:
well,
share what we know.
more and more people are coming into my environment that are, on that wavelength that they want,
Yeah.
Carl and I, we're going to diss this straight off straight away. We're not conspiracy theorists. Throw that word out the window. We're critical thinkers. And we
Yes.
like to think out of the box. And we also like to look at other people's opinions. So, someone called me an anti-vaxxer this morning. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm a pro-healther.
Absolutely.
If something's going to help you and it really is going to help you, then have it. I'm not
Yeah.
against anything. And this is the
Yeah.
misconception. we're here because we want to help people expand, not push our view
Absolutely.
on people, but
Absolutely.
offer up information, other techniques,
Yeah.
other ways of doing and seeing. So
Yeah.
maybe that person can create some change in their life. And if they don't want to, then that's all good as well,
Yeah.
to allow them to stay in that space.
Absolutely. Well, I call it planting seeds, and it's. I think
Yeah.
that what's going on at the moment is that a lot of people are feeling, a certain fear, or they're not connecting the dots. And for me, I just plant seeds. I'm a solutionist that goes, this is where I feel sense and be in what I'm feeling is where this is going. It's perspective. So if you change your perspective, you can shift your perception. And that's where we talk about upgrading. From a sensory perception, we're upgrading. And as we
Yeah,
know,
let's have a look at, you just said the feeling. I think that bit, we'll spend a bit of time on this because this is
yeah,
really important, Carl, isn't it?
yeah,
I think what's happened is, yeah, Mark, everyone is living in fear at the moment, and it's not a good place to be because they're sitting in their head. They're
yeah,
watching a mainstream media narrative, which is only 5% of what's
yeah,
actually happening, and they're being terrified into space.
yeah,
Yeah, Leslie's just said on here as well, conspiracy is now being seen as fact. That's why we want to ditch all these labels, Leslie, and ditch all these
yeah,
words. Just go have a look at the information. But the thing is, with the heart, like you say, if you're living up here in the head, you're going to be, this thing dictates what the body runs. So
yeah,
if you're sat up here watching, and you're terrified, you're given an instruction to the body to run terrified chemicals, which will
absolutely.
keep the loop of thought going
Yeah,
and the body. If you get out of your head, bring your attention and focus down to this space and spend some time breathing in and out of your heart and connecting into your heart, you'll get a totally different life experience from this space. This connects first.
yeah,
You should always be in here first and then let it connect to the head. But this is one thing I've learned that's been so powerful, Carl. I never used to really listen to my intuition because I'd have a thought around it.
yeah, yeah.
So I
The
would
monkey
go,
brain.
my gut said don't do it, but then all of a sudden my head's going, well, what if I don't? They won't like me. What if they
Yeah,
don't, and I'd go through all this
yeah,
shit in my head. But if
yeah.
I'd have actually just sat in my heart and gone with my intuition, I'd have got a much better outcome.
Absolutely. For me, Wendy, thinking is overrated. And what I mean by that is the monkey brain is designed through the five sensory perspective of getting stuck in our heads through technology. It's designed to do a mind loop. We don't process in the head. On a deeper perspective, we process from the heart, man. So the head, the heart, and the gut, the three brains synergistically work together. But what's happening is a lot of people are stuck in their heads because they're not moving their bodies and creating mind-body connection. That's
It's
why
like
I think,
this. It's like they
yeah,
chop themselves off here
yeah,
and
from
they
the
just sit in
vertebra senses, from the vertebra, which I do when I teach. When I teach box wise as a concept to control, release, and channel emotional stress and physical energy, I teach
yeah,
holistically to move both sides of the body. So there's not one side dominant. So we
no,
connect, we activate left and right brain.
cross
And in
brain
doing
referencing. Yeah.
absolutely. And a lot of people, when we look at, and this is what I feel and I know is through fear, is that people don't realize that they're stuck in the amygdala, the freeze, the fight, and the flight. They don't realize that they're stuck in the left brain because
No.
the right brain has taken on so much and absorbed so much sensory information you can't process unless you move in it and you're empowered because you've embodied it. You're going to be stuck in the cognitive dissonance. And this is what we have with the left. And we know the right brain's more connected to the heart.
Yeah.
So technology, as I write about, stuck in our heads, is basically we're in a technology and information age where people are so sucked out into a vacuum. It's a sensory vacuum. And as you know, with
Yeah.
that, it's dopamine, dopamine, dopamine. Neuro.
Oh, everything, your phone. I mean, this is, it's
Yeah,
what people don't understand. The programming, it's called a TV program.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, it's designed to control your vision. So, I talk about the three things and I put a video is that we're born with an innocence, an inner sense
yeah.
that's taken over by a program. And then I say, imagine a nation controlling your imagination. Imagine what you get to kind of, the brain food you get from television. Then imagine your vision is controlled. And we go through the first 16, 18 years creating a program. And this is where we work to really activate people to shift.
Well, to reprogram the program.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You've got to get with the program, and that's what I say, get with the program. But you only know what you've learnt through experience. We're all running a program on our internal hard drive.
yeah,
For me, the software is, if you're in reaction, you're in fear.
yeah,
Moving from reaction to response is back to the heart. And that's what I
yeah.
write about, the journey from the head to the heart. So what we've done over so many years, especially the last 25 years, is we've got so sucked out, we've got so separated from the heart. We don't know the difference, and we don't understand the biology of being stuck in the amygdala brain. It's the old caveman software.
Well, it's horrendous. It's,
Yeah,
it's, if you think about it realistically, what that does, it's basically, your amygdala is there to go, is it going to eat me? Can I eat it? So do
yeah,
I need to run
yeah,
after it and kill it,
yeah,
or do I need to run
yeah,
away from it before it kills
yeah,
me? And with the
absolutely.
stressors, so I mean, everything from, the kids who are TikTok, Instagram, everything they're watching is keeping them in their heads and making them
Absolutely.
feel what they're not.
Dopamine. Yeah,
It's all a lack. So everything is a lack,
absolutely.
or it's a
Yeah,
stimulant, like you say, the dopamine. If they're not checking their tweets or getting in 20 likes,
yeah,
dopamine here. Oh, someone liked my post. Oh,
yeah,
someone shared my post. Dopamine, dopamine.
yeah,
People don't realise that they're addictive chemicals that when you keep getting them, your body wants
absolutely.
more. It goes, oh, I like that. Give me more, and you
Yeah,
just keep
exactly.
doing it.
Yeah. And from a five sensory perspective, that is what we're in. So, what I feel is the fact that when I left school and I left the orphanage after 9 years, I was like done. My information overload, that my heart was saying, what is all of this? I'm looking around and going, what's going on? And when I had my awakening, it was because I knew something greater I was connecting to, and I activated that. But I went through life having to learn more about it, to integrate from the fear of realizing my own power into moving through this realm of self-discovery, to clear the files, to clear the data,
Yeah.
to clear it all, to realize and reboot, recharge, reboot,
I mean,
recharge.
that power, can I just stop you there and we just cover that one for a moment?
Yeah,
Because the internal power of a human system. Now, I was watching, don't hold me to these numbers, guys, because I've not got them totally correct, but it was something like, I was watching Greg Braden webinar the
yeah,
other night,
yeah,
and he said, we've got 30 trillion cells in our body,
yeah,
something like that, around that. There's
yeah,
trillions of cells in your body.
yeah,
Each cell has the equivalent to produce zero point 0.7 kilowatts of energy.
yeah,
Now you times zero point 0.7 kilowatts of energy by the trillion amount of cells we've got. You're walking around in something that has more power than a nuclear bomb. Literally,
absolutely.
this energy source is just amazing. And I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a neuroscience scientist, and I said, God, we don't even know what 50% of the brain does. And he laughed and he said, Wendy, we only know what 5% of the brain
Yeah,
does.
yeah, by
We do not
design.
understand the power of 95% of this thing in our heads, yet we're creating AI to take over from it. Nonsensical.
Well, exactly. And
And the power, the energy of the body, you've
yeah,
got trillions of cells that
yeah,
all have zero point 0.7
yeah,
hertz, whatever energy hertz of power. You're a walking powerhouse.
absolutely. So when you look at it, Wendy, our electromagnetic energy system has a flow, and in that
Yeah,
flow is where the power is. And that's what I talk about in being in response, is that your thinking mind, it's a bit like learning to ride a bike. Once you've learned to
yeah,
ride a bike, you don't think about, unless you go into a new place, you got to observe. You already know. It's like jujitsu. And what we have is, with the world we're living in now, is that this electromagnetic energy system is disrupted through technology,
yeah.
through the fact that this heart mind is connected. So we're connected to an electromagnetic universe. That's what I'm writing about. And that
Yeah.
universe is an intelligent field. And it's more powerful than anything. And when you connect with it, musicians have connected with it, sports athletes connect with it. It's called flow. It's in between alpha and theta brainwaves. Is the connection to the flow state. Most of us are in beta, which means we're in a high stress alert state. Too much beta is not good for us. So when we look at the power of our system, is that you know, like I say, is your energy is your currency. Amplify your supply. How do you do that? You learn to ground, you learn to move, you learn to connect. The third eye.
Heart brain coherence.
Exactly. Synergy. That's what synergy is, and that's what we feel. And I think what I feel and know is that we're moving into a transparency age now where people are waking up and seeing more, but it's uncomfortable because the amygdala, the belief, because I say if you see it, you can believe it, but if you know it, you can grow it. There's a difference. The belief system is now challenged by a deeper knowing.
Yeah.
People have got to get to the deeper knowing, which means you've got to listen within. You've got to come back home to the heart. You've got to listen and you've got to understand how to move. We're all got a guidance system. We just,
Well, this is the cognitive, like you say, the cognitive dissonance.
yeah,
So when new information comes in and it goes against what your map of reality. So guys, you know, we all
yeah,
have a map of reality. Me and Carl were talking about this at the beginning, how we're pre-programmed with information so our system can run. Now that map of reality, when it gets challenged, that's when cognitive dissonance comes in, because it's like
yeah.
you start twitching on the inside. You go
Breathe,
somewhere, I
flight,
know this isn't
fight.
right. I've got to stay with the old narrative. And
Yeah,
if you think about what we've been taught, I mean, I haven't, because my parents never taught me to not challenge authority. you know, authority was something I always challenged. So for me, everything that's happening makes no sense to me. And that's why people find me a challenge, because I've never stood under
yeah,
authority. I
yeah,
never have. I was brought up that everybody is on the same level and that you get choice. And as long as you don't break the law, which is don't kill anyone, hurt anyone, nick anything, or
yeah.
cause intentional harm, then you're all right, kid. You know, so all of these legalities that they keep bringing in, they're we won't go there today, Cole, but I think we should
No,
do another one on
well,
that. I'll get
exactly.
Barney involved.
But what I
But
want to do in simplifying the three brains, Wendy, I
yeah,
want to talk about if we look at it like this, when we go back to Greg Braden, which is the heart
yeah,
man, that freeze, flight, and fight with the cognitive dissonance when we're stuck in that process with new information is that we struggle to be bright. The heart is bright. And the heart,
yeah,
when it deals with discomfort, knows how to untangle that. But you've got to learn to move back to your heart. And we're so disconnected from the process. You're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings. Life's a
yeah.
process, it's a journey, and people are stuck in the world of information. So freeze, flight, and fight, it's about being bright. And the journey back here is what we're in now. And I feel that we're in this journey with the gut instinct we have at the moment. Is that
Yeah, I
people
think we're slowly. There's a lot of people as well, actually, Carl, that I wouldn't have expected. I tell you what, I'm
Mm,
not going to go here because I never name and shame people, but someone verbally attacked me on Instagram in private
yeah,
earlier, and it's someone I've known for a long period of time that I actually thought was
yeah,
intelligent. Just because I refuse to stand in a queue outside a shop,
yeah,
because if everyone's wearing masks, there should be no reason. So I'm not being a knob or anything like that.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
like, it's raining. I'm not wanting to
yeah,
get wet.
yeah,
I'm going in the shop, you know. So, and he literally attacks me on Instagram. It did actually. I did get a little bit
yeah,
angry earlier.
yeah,
But it's just what I've found is some people that I thought were really intelligent and would be going
yeah,
into the space of scientific evidence, you know, and sitting in a heart space, would understand this and start helping others move forward. Because we're not here to make life hard. We're here on this planet to help others, you know,
absolutely.
get a better
Absolutely.
result in whatever way.
Yeah,
And then I found that some people that I wouldn't
yeah,
on the last plane of anything ever think would, you know, open up and start
yeah, yeah,
questioning authority, and just going,
absolutely.
hang on, why am I just blindly following these people? They've
Yeah,
actually started opening up and, you know,
yeah.
getting into their heart space, and I'm seeing massive change in people I really didn't expect it from.
And I go out every day, so I kind of I say to somebody, I have a conversation. It comes from the heart, and I kind of share and express my view, and then I say, you know, it may blow your mind, but when your mind's blown, it's open. It's
Yeah,
opened right up, and it maybe needed blowing. And you know, and I have these conversations from a heart space of you know, I listen to people in a cafe, and I can see people are stressed. and that the fear and the anxiety. I've not watched television for over 16 years. I dip
No, I
in,
remember you
I
saying.
observe, but I know what it does. And it's the same with papers, the same with reading the weather. It all affects your mood dial, and it prefers you. Whereas, getting out and really being in the moment, and that's the greatest challenge at the moment, is to be in the moment, because we're either fearing the future or we're stuck back there in a program. And
And
to
that's the
be,
thing, isn't it? If you stand in this moment, I mean, that's where I always bring myself back to.
yeah,
Might take me a while, because guys,
yeah,
remember, this isn't a perfect science. Do you know what I mean? Me and Carl haven't suddenly just appeared out the ether. Well, we have
oh,
actually,
yeah,
and stand in that space. But it's a practiced art,
yeah,
because I'm 48, Carl. I'm not sure how old you are, but for 48, well, not
52,
48 years, 52.
52,
So
yeah,
for like a good 40 years, we've both been practicing programming maps of reality,
yeah,
acting out of the amygdala. And it's one of
absolutely,
those things that every day, the same, Carl does this and I do this, every day we have rituals, we have processes, we have awareness where when we get flagged and we get triggered, we go, right, back
yeah,
into the space.
yeah,
Do I need this? No, back into the space. And we purposefully, this is the living life on purpose, isn't it, in the moment,
yeah,
when you get that explosion, that you go, actually, on purpose, I'm going to take control back of my
yeah,
system. I'm
yeah,
going to get back in here.
yeah,
I always send a bit of love out to it, Carl. So like the
yeah,
person that attacked me earlier, I
yeah.
did in the moment. I just thought, I'm going to take a drive
But
and give someone a cup up. So,
do you know what it
but
is as well? Is what it is as well, Wendy, is that with cognitive dissonance. The greatest challenge is basically, I talk to people and I say the art of conversation is converting information. Don't be
yeah,
offended. Don't
by
be
someone
offended.
else's map of reality,
Yeah,
exactly.
don't
You
be
don't
offended.
know. So you're going to get me on my high horse now, Carl.
Yeah,
You have no idea. This is the hostility awareness and situational awareness,
yeah,
right? You have no idea what that person's backstory is.
yeah,
You have no idea of the environment they've just walked out of. You have no idea of the phone call they've just had. You've no idea of the email they've just received. And when
exactly.
someone is giving you a version of events, whether it's because they want a vaccine, they don't want a vaccine, they don't believe the government, they do believe the
It's
government,
reactive
whatever
or
it is,
responsive.
it's basically they're just showing you their map of reality. It's not about
Yeah.
you.
And when I say reactive and responsive, is the world of reactivity is why we are where we are, because there's a system that's so broken it's not working. It's like it's the same with the world of politics and language. It's like there's an old language of really thinking, feeling, and doing when we need to feel, sense, and be. There's a shift that we're in, but a lot of people in that process, Wendy, as you know, with the amygdala, if you know there's no saber-toothed tiger or woolly mammoth coming around the corner and you can breathe that in, bit like your
Yeah,
road, breathe it in. I used to test myself with on the roads. I'd just
yeah,
test myself to not get taken out of that flow. And
yeah.
I would go, I would say, and someone would cut across in traffic and they cut across in traffic and they'd look at me because I was a boxer. I was used to shock.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
used to
yeah,
taking
yeah.
impact. So I'd watch, and the guy, the young kids would go by like that. And I'd look at him and I'd laugh. I'd go, "What are you doing?" And they looked at me as if to say, "This guy's big and he's going to do this." And I'd go, "What are you doing?" And then I'd drive on and I'd check myself and I'd check my nervous system, my endocrine system, and I'd go, "Well, that's interesting." Because when you
Yeah,
get that charge, you feed the freeze, the flight, the fight. But if you actually realize that that charge, the woolly mammoth, the whole concept of the physical reaction to something, as I call it, is that when you manage that and you go to your amygdala, to your critical thinking, it's the root then that you move to the heart and realize you've got compassion for people. So when I go out on a daily basis, I can laugh and
definitely.
joke, I can lighten up, I can see somebody is in reaction, or I can see somebody has a reactivity program. I understand it, so I can help it. And I'm the same. We are the same. We're not walking around going, we're above. No, we're out there serving people. We're out there caring for people. We're out there from a heart mind perspective, seeing. And the thing is, for me, and this is what I write about, is people don't realize what reactivity is. It's the five sensory world of not knowing who you really are, that you're
Yeah,
running a program, whereas response, reactivity and response means you're in your heart. There's
yeah.
nothing that takes you on a better journey than living from your heart, but we've become
Oh,
so disconnected. Then when you're switched
100%.
on,
to
And
bring
then
it back into, like you say, the
yeah,
flow. I mean, you
yeah,
guys, you must all know what the. Sorry, my little dog's just wandered in to say hello. Hello, Squishy.
yeah,
So you guys must have all at some point you would have experienced flow. And what flow feels like is just when you're in the moment and you don't
yeah,
even know you're doing something because it's
yeah,
going so well. And then
yeah.
you'll know when you're not in flow. Well, when you come out of it, because all of a sudden you think,
You're
God, that's
thinking that.
going really well.
Yeah,
As soon as this kicks in, you're not in flow anymore. It's that
absolutely.
point where you're just sat in that space where
You
everything is just happening with no effort.
you're observing, and when you observe and you look around, and this is what I developed from my work, I started to observe this human behavior from a reactive perspective, and I would go, what? I started to observe it instead of being stuck in it and consumed by it. I started to observe it, and in doing that, that reprogramming come from letting go of old patterns of behavior. Because then I started to write things down. That's a reaction. That's a reaction. How do you respond? Challenge yourself to respond. Challenge yourself to stay in the moment and not be taken out of that flow in that moment. It's a great challenge. So for me,
Well,
everything.
that's a really good point for everybody watching as well. One thing you can do with other people, which was one of my biggest learnings, which I love, is when you remember someone is not what they're doing, they're what they're running on the inside.
Yeah,
So I always say when someone's doing something that's obviously not from my map of reality and it's a behavior
yeah,
I wouldn't do, I
yeah,
always say to myself on the inside, I go, wow, that's
yeah,
interesting behavior. I wonder what on earth is
yeah.
going on the inside of that person for them to demonstrate that.
But what does
So
the saying? Yeah, sorry, Wendy.
it's
What
not
does the
like,
saying say? You're not in the right mind. You're not in the right mind. You're in the
yeah,
left.
that's it. And yeah, you're not in the right mind. Yeah, exactly. But it just shows you, that people, they're the result of what they're running on the inside, the programming.
Yeah,
And when you become aware of yourself like that as well, and you
yeah,
notice your behaviors, like appeasing other people or whatever, because some people have, different, I've done many different types of
yeah,
behavior in my life to get
yeah,
results. But when you look at that behavior, when you do something, you go, wow, what was the
yeah,
purpose of doing that? What was it doing for me,
yeah,
giving me or getting me? You can have a
yeah,
look at your map of reality and go, well, how does that one serve me? Well,
yeah,
actually, there's a better way of getting that result than doing that.
yeah,
And then you can change that behavior because a lot of people, we call it secondary gain in my world. I don't know what you call it, but it's running a negative behavior with a positive outcome. So an example would be, it's a bit like victim mentality.
yeah,
So we teach children this at an early age. So you see it in supermarkets. You've got a child in a trolley,
mm,
the child's screaming because they want a Mars bar. The
mm,
parent is going, no, 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 no. And then just for some peace of quiet, because the child won't stop
yeah,
screaming, they give it a Mars bar. Now,
yeah,
what's happened is you've just taught that particular individual
yeah,
that if they scream and shout loud enough, they get a positive result.
yeah,
And this happens in relationships, emotional things, seeking attention, withdrawing alone as well, stuff like that,
yeah,
negative self-talk,
yeah,
negative stories. Loads of different behaviors come under secondary
yeah,
gain. And what we don't
absolutely.
realise, and there's nothing wrong with this, guys, we're not
No,
caning you for it because I've
no,
done loads of them. It's just
absolutely.
the awareness that actually, if you want a result and you're not aware, or you are aware that you're doing a negative behaviour, what positive behaviour could
Change.
get you the same result?
Yeah,
And it's just, like if you want love, but you're throwing tantrums and that because you think that gets you attention and love, what else could you do to get love? Give love.
exactly,
Give it
exactly.
out in
Yeah,
abundance. Because if you
and
keep giving it, someone's going to give it back to you.
exactly. And what you're talking about there, Wendy, is I call them all reactions because they
Yeah.
don't serve anybody. And it's like the one of the greatest reactions in life and living in your left brain and your head is the ego construct of thinking we're in a world of want. What we don't need, we want. And we look at materialism, consuming, and what that has done to, the perspective of people, that people now are in a sensory vacuum of thinking that you got to have. Happiness is an inside job. It's what I write about. And, happiness is coming home in the heart and realizing and having an attitude of gratitude, a deeper appreciation. We've lost our way. And that's why we need to upgrade. Fear needs to go. It's been too long hanging around. And there's different
Yeah.
types of fear. But, you know, for me, the upgrade is that you can't argue with a universe that is an intelligent field that's going where it's going. We're on a planet, we're a microcosm in the universe and galaxies, yet we have certain.
A tiny irrelevant
Yeah,
speck on a grain of
yeah,
sand compared to
absolutely.
the macrocosm.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, for me is that I learned through jujitsu about the ego is man, yeah, you're gonna get that squeezed right out of you. Being humble and around your tribe and people
Yeah,
who know you, hold you can't. There's no better feeling than being uncomfortable in your growth because you know the truth of something. Or you know, like I say, you've got to have a PhD in BS management. It's the most important qualification you need at the moment, a PhD, because that's
yeah,
information. If you're
yeah,
gathering data from the wrong sources and you're consumed and that's going on your belief system, you're actually creating a BS belief
yeah.
system that's telling you the truth in your head, but you're not living with, you know, you're living from instinct rather than intuition.
Yeah, and it is that, just coming back to what you said about growth is painful. It is. I mean, if you think
Yeah,
about, I always put it down to like lobsters and crabs. You get to a certain size, and if you were a lobster or a crab, and then the shell gets so tight, and
yeah,
it's really painful to get the shell off, and then you're all soft and squishy and vulnerable for a bit.
yeah,
Harden up again, then you have a few
yeah,
years in that shell, and then guess what happens again?
yeah. It
Shell
happens.
gets too tight,
Yeah,
you got to split it off, go soft and vulnerable, learn
yeah,
more, get your shell back, and away you go again. And all learning is a challenge, especially when it comes to the personal development, the human system, the behaviours, your
yeah.
thoughts. It's all a challenging learning. People think, and I get this sometimes with people who have sessions with me, they want that response.
Yeah,
Fix me now. And it's
yeah.
like, I can
Quick fix.
recode all the emotions, I can
Yeah,
recode all the beliefs. However, I
yeah.
cannot follow you around for the rest of your life every day
Absolutely.
telling you, now you should spend 20 minutes on self care. Now you
Yeah,
should put the phone down, turn the laptop off, and go and do
yeah,
that. Now you should put structure in for your business. Now you should have time with
yeah.
your kids. Now you should eat healthy. Now you should close your day down. It's not just about the programming, it's about
Patience.
your
It's total
lifestyle,
patience.
rituals, habits.
Yeah, it's and the three P's: patience, persistence, perseverance. I've been doing what I do for 30 years, and my lifetime of experience took me into that 30 years, over 30 years of experience. Every day I get up feeling very blessed, not thinking, we have this expectation and an attachment to outcomes. And and
Yeah,
and for me is that we can connect to a flow and naturally we're going to get disrupted. It's just reconnecting, and disrupted is your thoughts and your feelings. Energy, as we know, emotion is energy in motion. If your thoughts and feelings
yeah,
are getting in the way, they're going to lead you to the mind loop, the monkey mind. And a lot of people, so when I talk about flow, it's being present, it's being in the moment, it's riding the bike, it's surfing the waves.
yeah.
When the waves, when life hits the rocks, it's getting up and moving
Well,
through
that's
it.
the thing. You don't stay on the bike forever. At some point, you're going to get fatigued and fall off it.
Yeah,
However, though, every time you get back on it, you can improve your stamina and stay there for longer.
yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
one of those things that, the more practice you give it and the more perseverance. And it is that I think a lot of people, it's the perseverance part of it, Carl.
Yeah,
They get to the point where they go, well, I've tried that for a couple of days.
yeah, you're
And it's
attached to
like,
an outcome. Why
It's
does it
like, God,
like
it's
this?
taken you 30 years to get into that space and create
Yeah,
that habit, and you want
yeah,
it done in 2 days, so you're not going to
yeah.
persevere anymore. You're,
And I talk about Wendy peeling off the layers of an onion. And for years, just keep peeling, keep peeling. It's going to open. It's going to open up in you. You're going to open your heart. You're going to see, feel more. Your insight, which is really interesting because people, you got three eyes. You got two to look with and one to see. Insight is coming from within. And like I say, if you can see it, you can believe it. But if you know it, you can grow it. It's a
yeah,
vision. It's an insight that you know what you're moving in and you know how to move. Because I've
and
been,
it's also that the coming into the motive in action. So your motivation. This is a lot of things. Me and you would like to split our words up and give people a
yeah,
deeper meaning. But motivation is your motive in action. A lot of people go, well, I've got no motivation. I go, well, what's the purpose of you doing what you're doing?
mhm,
If you've got no
yeah,
motive for it that's going to fulfill you, you ain't going to want to do it.
yeah,
So in life, it's the energy in motion with the emotion, making
yeah,
sure you've got the right energy in motion, making sure you
Absolutely.
have your motive in action. Have you got a plan? Do you know what the
Yeah.
outcome of that plan
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
sat and have something to head for, you can
Yeah.
change your destination 45
Yeah.
times a day, but it
Yeah.
needs a destination
But when I
for
when
you
I
to start moving.
when I talk about this as well is from me is that with motivation, mindset, and then inspiration in spirit inspired. Dr. Wayne Dyer is that for me, when you're in spirit, there's something more. You moved on a deeper level. But this is the
Yeah.
connection to the mind. Like you say, motivation is getting your mind to overcome certain hurdles and obstacles. And then when you embody what you know on a deeper level, you're moving different because you know it. Like me speaking now, I don't think it's just expressed from a
Well, it's
passion.
like you say, it's back to flow, isn't it? And the
Yeah,
flow,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
thoughts in action connected to the emotion, the magnetic generation of the heart.
Yeah,
If you think about it, these things up here, they direct a signal out into the universal field,
transmitters
and
and receivers.
this thing pulls it back. So
Absolutely.
if you've got, the emotional connection, whatever you're doing in the future, wind this thing up and get it emotionally connected, and you'll find the results will come back a lot quicker and it'll be easier. There'll be less resistance. Not
And
saying
what
you'll never have challenges, but
no, but I think what it is, Wendy, is the patience factor is that we're born. Like I start my book with a ball of energy born into a universe. Is that there's a real interesting picture where we're born and we're just like a love art, and it is
yeah.
dependent on environment because we're products, and then suddenly the love art starts to get smaller because then the head is taken over. It's like a boy. It's like you watch kids when they play. And when you see them play, they're limitless because they're not in the thinking monkey brain yet. It's not they're
Right.
not loading. They're just freeing it, and they're learning better. And
Well,
you
this
look
is the
at
thing with kids, isn't it? Just a quick point for any parents
yeah,
out there. Your kids don't really become consciously or cognitively aware until they're about 7 years old.
yeah,
So what that means is, just as a little parenting tip, because we're not doing parenting today, if you're telling a 5-year-old to go and sit on a naughty step and think about what they've done, they're not thinking about what they've done. They're feeling why their parents don't want them with them. And they're probably thinking
that's
about
interesting.
spaceships,
Yeah,
robots and unicorns or something. But
yeah,
to get a child under that age now think about what you've done. They're not doing that. They're not aware of the process of how to do that because they're in theta wave brain state.
yeah,
They're being
yeah,
in hypnosis for up to 7 years, so they're just
yeah.
like little saturation machines
They
that are
are,
just sucking everything in.
and that's
Parenting is powerful, Carl, isn't it? I mean, it's
absolutely.
those first 7 years.
And with me, Wendy is I'm a sportsman, a coach. I have a background. I have a son. I have a boy, and you give them tough love and you guard them, and getting into the realization they know when you're in your head and they know when you're in your heart, and they've got that connection and that communication with you. You know what I mean? And they feel that, and the thing is with the reaction response, that daddy voice number one, daddy voice number five, and all of those challenges come. There's no manual, and
No,
it's
there's
learning.
not. No.
Yeah, and it's learning. And I'm fortunate that I've created that connection and had time to do that. And here in Canada, through my circumstances, and this is this let the children play, let them heal the way you feel with the way that they play. And I talk about with happiness as an inside job is our inner child gets locked away in a cupboard as we grow older. I'm a big
Oh,
child,
yeah.
and
How
the
many
inner
people
child.
lose their inner child? I've had this said to me over a period of time. You know, you just don't seem to want to have any fun. I'd got so serious with work,
Yeah,
Carl,
yeah,
that I didn't even realize I'd stopped having fun. I'd stopped the
yeah.
ability for fun. I mean, that's changed now. I'm back to normal, stupid Wendy,
Because of the
thanks.
thinking construct and the seriousness and the stress and the pressure and the treadmill we're on, and we've got to do this and we've got to do that. It's very difficult. It's very
Yeah.
difficult to stay
I
in the
think this year,
flow.
one thing it's done for me this year, because my dog got diagnosed with cancer in March as well, it was quite interesting because I'd had a whole year's worth of work cancelled in March, which
Wow.
could send most people into meltdown. You know what? I just thought, it's a good thing because I can
Yeah,
spend the whole year at home with the dog. And
yeah,
we've had a lovely old summer getting a suntan.
yeah, yeah.
Work's picking up now, but it's all about how you view it, isn't it?
Well, I think what it is as well, Wendy, is we're moving too quick to, in fact, we need to take our rollerblades off and catch up with ourselves. We need to
Slow
stop.
down a bit,
We need
yeah.
to, yeah, like I say, is that you sit like a tree and feel the infinity. Look into the sky, there's an endless supply. I talk about this in the book. And we're so disconnected because of the head and the loop that
Yeah.
we forget about things that are important. And what's been happening, which is beautiful over this period of time, is that the matrix got switched off and everything around that. And I've gone through the uncomfortableness of that, but I felt it's part of my greater process, like writing the book and my work is this is just happening, and it's a big shift for humanity, but it's going to be how you perceive it and how you feel it, and just being able to kind of stop and appreciate people around you, connect
Yeah.
like we've done, to share the abundance and love that's been out there, because love, the world needs love. That's what it
And it's
is.
the highest power we have.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
highest
love FM.
vibrational state.
I
It's
say on my videos, you connect to the universe. It's love FM. It's the positive frequency and vibration is love. It comes from Greg Braden. It comes from the heart. You go
yeah,
spread it every day. I spread it every day because I love what I'm in. And you know, and people say, you know, like with the ego, people go, you know, the concept around mortality. And I'd say I died a long time ago, and it was more of the ego. But you know, live like you died yesterday and you've got so much more to live for. It is a
yeah.
perception. So, you know,
Well, we
unraveling.
know this from the basic brain programming is, I mean, how we filter
Yeah,
information anyway. You
yeah,
know, the conscious brain filters around about 2,000 bits a second. Your unconscious can filter up to 40 billion bits a second.
yeah,
And this thing has to go, right, what's important to my human? And
yeah,
filter it down to a usable chunk, which is about the size of a
absolutely.
pinhead out of your whole
Yeah,
day. So whatever you're focused on, if you're focused on fear, if you're focused on hate, if you're focused on stress, your unconscious will find it for you
what you
because
think about, you bring about. Where your
you
mind
give
goes,
it a
your
direct,
energy flows.
yes, a direct instruction. It literally is, you're instructing it what you want to filter down. So when you spend a little bit of time on your perception and you question it as it comes in, because remember, you're only running thoughts because you're thinking them. You haven't got a
Absolutely.
robot in your head thinking them for you. They're
Exactly.
actually yours. It's just
Yeah,
becoming aware of the bloody things and
yeah,
going, actually, I'm sat here on autopilot thinking this rubbish. Stop.
yeah, yeah.
What do I want to think instead? And start redirecting it and retraining it and
Well, you know,
reprogramming it.
with me, and Canada's beautiful because Canada is so spacious and for processing and emptying your mind and nature, all of these things. But I go to a seminar, and this is me because language to me has been so designed and developed to disconnect us. There's so many words that mean the same thing. Language is like caveman never had language. They lived in a universe, an open cosmos. They learned to move, survive, keep moving. But language and information and the world of it has just taken us down a road that is just information overload. And when I
Well,
go to
think of the word. My trainer, so lovely lady Kath Temple, I always like to give her a heads up because she was like my awakener to
yeah,
myself. And she always said, language, think of it like spelling, the word spelling. It's a spell in the
yeah,
doing.
I
Every
like
word
that.
you utter, you're creating a spell, you're casting a spell on someone.
Wow.
Every word you utter is casting a
Yeah,
spell on yourself.
yeah,
Everything you think is casting a spell on yourself, and everything you hear,
yeah.
so all the news, you think about all the spells that are being
Yeah,
cast on you,
absolutely. It's
the
trance.
trance you walk about in all day with all of this
Yeah,
language. You know, what trance are you dancing to? Is it the old
exactly.
techno or is it, you know, something not very nice?
So Wendy, when you think of the world of the think, feel, do, and the world of the lack of common sense, because of, especially with kids in the world of feel, sense, be, feel,
Yeah,
sense, be has always been the world that I'm in. So when I would kind of come across language, when I started working at the school in '97, I'd be in the registration with the kids, and I'd listen to the headmaster because I left school early and that. And I'd listen and I'd look at the kids, and the kids, I could see it was going over the information, but I could see how they were sensing. I'd take them out and let them swing on trees. They wanted to ride bikes. They didn't want to be in a classroom all day. But you know, the world of information is really, you know, information inspiration. I talk about education, and that in feeling inspired, feeling sense and being is that I've always been kinesthetic. So I'll go to a seminar and it's really interesting, or I'll go and I'll learn and I'll sit there. And people say at the end, Carl, what do you think? And I went, I'm not really thinking.
I don't know. I'm just feeling something.
I'm feeling the truth for what's coming in. My body knows truth. It's going to tell me what's right. I trust it. It guards me. And the seeds are planted. I'm drinking in the information. And let's see what grows. Am I meant to be here? What's meant to be? And am I meant to connect?
It's funny, the overload, just on that one, I've worked with so many kids from just all ages, but a lot of kids coming out of like high school into further education that just say they can't take any more information. They've got a headache, a permanent headache. And it's because of the brain saturation. You don't get time to integrate.
The knowledge box, the knowledge box, and then it's the lids like that, and it's trying to get the lid on, and then people are stuck in the classroom with the man.
There's no chance to integrate information, to let it soak, to question it, to feel it. Like you say.
I want to feel. I'm from the street, so I'm from the street, and I feel. And I've moved over 25 times since the age of 18. I've travelled all over the world, but with travelers, you'd always watch travelers, and you'd see your telepathic communication. I think we're moving into an age now where we need new language, where we need. And what I want to kind of contribute in my service is giving people a way to think and be and sense more by seeing all the reactivity for what it is. All the left brain construct, and then being able to come back, which I shared to Jenny, come back to the heart, and then switch on and tune in to the F's plug socket, the free electricity when you stand on, and then the universe. That's what I'm in. And when you connect, so you move the 3 stages of activating flow are from reaction to response to switched on and tuned in.
And then tuned in,
And in all the complication by design, the crossfire of everything going on, you can't process it, Wendy. It's excessive. 25,000.
I have to go sometimes during the day because I've done so much stuff. I literally shut everything down and just go to the dog, come on, we're going out the woods. And I'll literally just go sit on a tree, and I grip the tree. I'm literally hanging onto the tree until it all stops. And then all of a sudden it's like, so Carl, processes. Let's share a little bit of, because we'll do another one of these, and we'll go into even more detail for you guys. Absolutely. So hi Anastasia as well. Hi Maria. Charles wanted to know what our Instagram names are. So I'm Coach Coach Wendy 72. I think I'm Coach Wendy.
Just energy-wise, energy. So energy. I forgot how to speak. I've been brainwiped since I come from the UK. I speak Canadian English. They speak Canadian English out here. I'm saying I speak Canadian English. Just listen intently. So energy-wise with a Z on Instagram. You see a picture of my beautiful face and my Bond look. So there's a picture of me. So I've got a lot of cups of wisdom on there on my Instagram. The same with my YouTube channel. So energy-wise, energy WIZE is my Instagram, and then my work is energy-wise with a Z.ca, and you'll see my 5-step system on there.
I can always add, after we've done this, Carl, I'll always add them in the comments as well. We'll go and have a look, and we'll check it out because we don't really know. But right, so let's finish these guys off with what we do then, so they can get a sense of how we stay in a balanced place. So what are your habits, rituals, daily routines that you do, Carl, to stay?
Well, what I do is basically, for me, with flow, it's staying in what I know, moving in a deeper realm of seeing and sensing and being, stay in the heart, living from the heart. So I would say what do I do is more movement. What I teach when I teach people the ninja skills through Boxwise is to ground them. So I teach the tree of life. So I'm always grounded in the base when I'm teaching. I'm always looking at the core, the trunk, the glutes, and then the posture. So what I teach is basically grounding. I teach the tree of life. So I'm more in that than ever. So I'm kind of in that flow, unless my son takes me down the road and wants to kick me over the edge. Then I feel the human experience, you know what I mean? So for me, I teach. So for me, getting up, moving, spreading the love, having a passion for what I teach, teaching the Boxwise, I teach movement and flow to clients, to families. So I teach interaction with families, the 3 C's, confidence, communication, connection, because of the disconnection of, what we're experiencing. And I work with youth empowerment support services. So I work with youth in a sense that a lot of these kids are living in very challenging times. They're static, they're tired, they're low. So what I do is I get them moving. You know, I plant seeds, don't fall asleep at the wheel, come and see me. They get out the trunk, get
Yeah.
driving, you know. So I'm very kinesthetic in sharing my life experience on a daily basis and planting seeds. So I work with families, I teach box wires, and you can see my 5-step system I've developed on my website, energywise.ca. But what's really consumed me in the last 2 years, beautifully consumed me, is my book. And I'm closer now to getting the book finished. And it's basically sharing my life story of the journey from the head back to the heart, and human biology, human technology, that we're in a time of how human technology is upgrading. It's
Yeah.
just understanding and connecting the dots and coming home to understand what we're moving in and how to move with it. And if
Yeah.
you're
Like I
stuck
say, I think
in your head,
we'll do another one of these sessions, Carl, actually, and go up a notch. I think would
yeah,
be good. So we can talk
absolutely,
about, because that's something that a lot of people might not be fully aware of,
yeah,
is our upgrading that's coming. But we'll do that on another one.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
what's your wind down like, Carl, at the end of the day then? Do you have any processes at the end of the day that you do?
processes at the end of the day, I would just say, I just think for me, it's being present. And it's having the time to stay present. And when you're not present, finding your way to ground, relax, breathe. I mean, Wim Hof breathing, I do that with clients, you know. It's just really staying in what you know, being in the
And
deep.
finding the things that work for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
So myself,
I,
I'm sort of similar. Mine is just, I get up in the morning, the first thing I do is check in with my body before I get out of bed.
yeah,
I check in with my mind and my body. So I go, where's the thoughts at? Because if I've just had a dream of killing zombies, I'm not wanting to
yeah.
get out of bed with that running. So so I like to
Yeah.
just check in with it and go, where are you? And if
Well,
it's
what
all
I
right,
do,
if
yeah.
it's all right, I get up and then
So what?
I go grab a pint of water, cup of coffee, and do a Greg Braden. I go straight into the heart.
Wow, yeah,
First
brilliant.
thing in the day, straight
Yeah,
in here with some heart brain coherence, and then I'm the same. Exercise, dog walk, get on with work, and I do actually do heart brain coherence 3 or 4 times a day. Whenever I
brilliant.
feel myself coming out of it, I just stop, go. It
Yeah,
only takes
yeah,
like 7 minutes is good to get the chemicals really going, and go back into that space. And at the end of the day, I have a bath every night
yeah.
with Epsom salts, and it's my reflection time. I have a little
Brilliant.
think through, even if
Yeah,
shit things have gone on throughout the day,
yeah,
I
yeah,
still go, what's the gratitude out of that?
yeah,
What was good about that? What can I
yeah.
take forward from that? What do I appreciate today? And I love a little reflect in the bath just to close it all
Yeah.
down
And,
and
and
get off of all of your. I have no like bright light stuff on, like
yeah,
half hour before I go to bed. I've got
yeah,
loads of lovely salt lamps, so everything gets turned off down to salt lamp level, and it's
yeah.
chill my system right down. Oh,
And
Maria's found us both. No worries, Maria.
with me, I feel you know, for me, I've so travelled, so resilient and self-reliant from my upbringing that I really enjoy my own company. So I'm on a constant move where I'm having a good meeting with myself if I need one. I'm always listening.
Yeah,
I always feel guarded. And what I do every day, because what I talk about in you know, human biology, human technology, is that inspiretology is what we're doing now. We're using this frequency and this connection to inspire, whereas there's negatology. And so I listen to a lot of inspiretology. I watch Charlie's videos. That's how me and you connected. I have
yeah,
certain sources to stay up to speed with things. I observe what's going on. I see it for what it is. The lids come off. It's all coming to the surface. So for me, every day I'm kind of keeping my eye on things, but I'm enjoying the experience of what I'm in and how I can work with people and how I can just plant seeds and just how I can give and make people feel good. A bit like
yeah,
yourself and with Charlie, I just go out and I'm like, I don't take this human experience is taken too serious.
yeah.
Elvis
And
left Wendy. Elvis left the building a long time ago. Do you
he
know what I
did.
mean?
He did. It is really, isn't it? I mean, we do. So many people take it so seriously. I know,
It
Carl, I
bad is
used to.
hard. It it's designed that way, though, isn't it? So
Yeah.
if you don't
And
work
the
that
thing
out
is,
along the way,
yeah, change your perspective of it and have a bit of fun with it all. I mean, I always say to people,
yeah,
I'm the worst therapist on the planet because I laugh at everything.
yeah.
So I have traumatized people in my environment, and I laugh at, I laugh at them. I go, oh, that must have been interesting.
But
That's a bit of a shit talk. But
humor is a
humour,
great way of doing it. Humor is a great way to get a message across. A great
it
way to
is.
get a message across. And I
And
use,
the thing is, because I've had a lot of stuff myself go on, so it's not like I'm
yeah,
coming from an uninformed space.
and you're
So yeah,
mindful.
it's always done with love.
Yeah, people
Always
feel that.
done with love.
People feel that, Wendy. People feel your love, and that's the difference. Is that heart coherence, that synergy and flow that's created in
Yeah,
an environment instead of the invisible elephant that's weighing the planet down at the moment. Is we feel
yeah,
we're
we
either
do.
feeling the fear or we're feeling the love. I say you got two choices. You can feed the fear or you can feel the love. But it is a challenge and a process that you're in. You need to see. You got
Exactly.
two eyes, you
My
got three
dog,
eyes.
my dog's not
Yeah.
feeling the love at the moment. He's shouting at the neighbours.
Well, it's just expressing some love and excitement there in his tone.
I'm just going to
But
shout.
yeah. Well, great having a chat with you, Wendy. That was awesome.
Yeah, I've just unmuted myself. Just quickly before we go, Maria's asked, what's your best book recommended read on heart-brain coherence? So mine is always anything by Greg Braden, because he
Yeah,
covers the human story and
I think you got
basically.
the five. I think you got the five languages of love. But I think for me, I've never read books. I'm a reader and a seeder and a cherry picker. I'm writing one because it's coming through the flow of what I'm experiencing. But the kind of people that have come along is basically Dr. Wayne Dyer, The Power of Intention. I think that's amazing. Is
Yeah,
that
Wayne Dyer's good. So all of this stuff, Maria, as well, if you just, how I tend to do it, because I like to watch stuff. I do
yeah,
read, I've got a lot of books, but I do like to watch stuff. So I jump onto YouTube and
yeah.
just look for either audio books or good long video
The
conferences
shift,
of
the
the
shift,
authors.
ambition to meeting, the from ambition to meaning, the shift. You can get it free on YouTube. Dr. Wayne Dyer. It's a great, beautiful movie that
Oh, there
really
you go
takes
then,
you.
Maria. That's a good one for you, hun, to finish up
Yeah,
on.
absolutely.
Right.
And one of my favorite books is, and my favorite books is David Hawkins' Power versus Force, Human Calibration. So it shows
I've
the
not.
map of consciousness, and it's very
Oh, okay. I've
interesting.
not read that one.
Yeah, and it's like how,
I'll get you to give me the link when we get off of it.
yeah, yeah, Dr. Wayne Dyer I love and David Hawkins. But from a love perspective, I think Greg Braden's the man, isn't he? It's like if you're
He
looking
is.
at
I mean, heart
biology,
coherence.
Bruce Lipton's the man, biology.
Yeah,
So you've got all of these. You
yeah.
can't.
And then if you want energy, let's just chuck Joe Dispenza in the mix.
There you
The
go.
power free.
So,
The
so
power free.
isn't it beautiful the inspiredology that we have now to come back home to the heart and
Yes.
reprogram and look at the conscious collective transmitting a broadcast into the universe of love. It's planetary love, and that's what we're feeling
Yeah.
at the moment.
This is the thing. I think it takes a critical mass of 7,500 people per day to be meditating from the heart to shift the planet's vibration up.
That's
So there's a
interesting.
challenge for you guys watching this. It only needs 7,500 of us every day doing a
Put it,
half-hour heart-based meditation to
put it
shift
out.
up the energy of the planet.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Right, Carl, thank
Beautiful.
you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely.
I
On a
hope all our
beautiful
lovely viewers have
day.
enjoyed this. If you guys want anything as well, feel free to contact Carl or me. We're always happy to have a chat. You can find him through my Facebook page. I will put Carl's information on here as well, so
Yeah.
you can contact him. And we will be having another instalment of this.
Another chin wag, as we call it.
Indeed.
Another
Right,
chin
no
wag.
worries. Loads of love to you all, guys. We'll see you soon.